So, it's a leap day. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what to talk about on a leap day, because we're not going to get this chance again. We may never get this chance again. One, it's going to be 4 more years before we can make use of a leap day. And what are the odds that it ends up on a day that we release a video? So, this might be it. And I thought, what a great opportunity. Let's do something. Oh, no, I got nothing. For days, I was like, what do we use? What's the theme? What can we take advantage of? What's the shtick? I got nothing. I mean, we could talk about Julius Caesar effectively invented the modern calendar as we know it to accommodate for the fact that all of the previous calendars could not keep up with how the star movement changed. And so to fix it, they would add in a day, or at one point add in days to a month, and at one point added a whole other month. And so it was him that added effectively the leap day. But then it turns out that didn't quite fix it because it was off by 11 seconds or something like that gathers every year, and that adds up. And so it was readjusted again by the Catholic Church because they were getting frustrated that Easter wasn't falling on the right time. So they bumped that. And then it sort of gets changed on the clock by the Universal Central Time. What's the word for that? It's UTC or something like that. That adds a second every chunk of time. It's anyway, see, already, this makes no sense and it's boring. What about the fact that leap years are often historically associated with a gender reversal role? So for a long time, it was considered only on leap years, women could propose to men. And there's satirical cartoons about it, and there's all kinds of things like this. And there was actually laws were passed that if a woman proposed and you denied her, you owed her something, like money or a pair of gloves or cloth to make a dress, some crazy stuff. But again, what does that have to do with whiskey? Nothing. Anthony, Texas, which is over by El Paso, it's suburb of El Paso effectively, not really, but the town above El Paso. They announced that they were the leap year capital of the world. Because evidently, that's a thing you can do. Is just announce, you're the leap year capital of the world. For no reason. And by the way, in 2024, they're holding a leap year festival at Anthony, Texas. That evidently they're not going to do every 4 years. Because, honestly, how else are you going to get people to Anthony, Texas? Sorry, if you live in Anthony, Texas, I'm sorry. For multiple reasons, actually. Okay, what about the fact that a person born on a leap year, like today, technically only gets a birthday every 4 years, which means their 4-year-old birthday is when they turn 16 and get a driver's license. What do you do with that? Celebrate it on a different day? Do you push it left or right based on the year? Or is it always just bumped back to February 28th because screw it, this is ridiculous? If you ever read The Pirates, what is it, The Pirates of Penzance? It's the old famous comedy musical. One of the guys in that musical discovers that he's been sentenced to servitude for 7 years, but it was a leap year. So really he was sentenced to 88 years of service. Whoops. I don't know. I really tried, guys. I really tried. So instead, for right now, let's just talk about this Tennessee whiskey. This is Nelson Brier Tennessee whiskey. Now, if you remember the history, these guys, this is Andy and Charlie Nelson, whose great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was Charles Nelson, who ran one of the more famous distilleries in Tennessee in the 1800s. And it went out during Prohibition, it vanished. They show up, they decide they want to get into making whiskey. They revive old brand names, they're an old family name. They try to track down old family recipes. They end up working with Dave Pickerel. They consult with the Henderson family, which is Lincoln and Wes Henderson, not the Andersons, that's a different family, who were the founders of Angel's Envy, among many other things that they did, award-winning distillers and whatnot. And they revived a brand called Belle Mead, which I drank on the show a couple of months back. That was their sourced brand from MGP that they finished and did things to in order to sort of make money while they were building their own stuff. They started making their own whiskey in 2014 and then started releasing their own whiskey in 2019, I think it was, just in time for COVID. So we're finally getting, this is their full-on, they made it brand, Tennessee whiskey. It's a wheated mash bill, corn wheat barley, run through the charcoal filtering process that makes it Tennessee whiskey, and according to them, from revived old recipes of their family history. I guess that's a cool story. I'm a little bored of like old family recipe stories, but it doesn't make it not true. And you always find passionate people trying to do things authentically, and I feel like these guys have at least done it authentically. They didn't make up a family history, at least it was an actual family history, so they got that going for them. But, this is a almost nutty vanilla cream. Like if you did walnuts with vanilla cream, or like, not pistachio, but like a creme brulee, or like a brittle, like a pecan brittle, or a not peanut brittle, but, and then there's this slight grain, corn, dusty bin note. But overall, it's soft and sweetened on the nose. What do they say? Nothing. Just family history, charcoal, at least 2. Okay. It smells very nice. It's very simple, but it's not boring. It's not thin. It's not ethanol forward. Not overly complex. All right. There's that. I don't know why, but in a lot of Tennessee whiskey, I wonder if it is the charcoal filtering. It might be. I get this sort of like tangy note that's not quite citrus and not quite sour. And I have nowhere to place it. If you see the previous video, I have nowhere to place it, no pattern that I can hold it up against and go, it's this kind of tangy. But the only word that comes to mind is tangy, the way that it falls on the back of my tongue, where your tongue meets the roof of your mouth and you can feel it in your jawbone by your ears. There's this candy corn, sweet, caramel, and then slight corn dust and grain, and then ding, there's a little bit of a tangy note. It's weird, but it reminds me of soda, flat soda, where like you get the soda syrup, like on a Dr. Pepper or something, where you get this sort of like bing, like prune is not in Dr. Pepper anymore, but that sort of like little with the carbonation has gone down, or you just try the syrupy note. But it's nice. It's very gentle. It's very approachable. It's not boring. It's 45.5 and doesn't really taste watered down. I think they're doing a great job of creating what they're creating. Not my preferred preference. I prefer the direction that malt tends to take things, and I like that kind of heavy barrel impact that is not here. There are soft tannins to this, but there's not really like a nice, rich, heavy, woody kind of oak note, which is probably not what they're going for. It is a little dusty as you drink it more. It's sort of a little dust. Anyway, so there you go. There's Nelson's. Since I can't think about what to talk about, here's what I'm going to ask. And I'm going to ask for a ton of comments, and I promise on this video I will be in the comments, not just liking them, but talking to you, which I've done a little bit of, but mostly I've just been liking and responding to questions in the comments. How important is it to you that these episodes line up when they hit a holiday with some sort of theme? Like when we were around Christmas and Boxing Day, or when we hit Burns Day, or because this channel has never been themed, but that was primarily because we were trying to get as much content done in a short amount of time, and we shot way in advance, sometimes like 6 weeks out or plus, and often forgot to check the calendar to see like, oh yeah, that video lands on Christmas. We probably should have said something about Merry Christmas, but we shot it 2 months ago. But I'm writing these things now, and I'm looking at the calendar as I write, so I can be a little more intentional about being on the schedule if it's important to you. Also, by the time this comes out, I was long gone, but I didn't realize that the Tribe channel was doing Dry Week already, and we missed Dry Week. We just did episodes. How important is it to you that the Vault channel continue the tradition of quarterly Dry Week, or do we just let that be a Whiskey Tribe content thing? I think it's important. The principle of Dry Week is powerful and important, and I'm glad that they're still doing it because I think it's important to regularly check in and find out whether or not you have a dependency problem. Can you take a week off of whiskey and it not cause problems in your life? I do that regularly. I'll take long chunks of time in between shooting or things like that and just not have any drinks at all. So that's a part of my normal life habit. But do we want to integrate that into the channel at the same level, and do we want to match it with Tribe so we don't have like all these different conflicting Dry Week things? I really wish there was a way to start talking to you guys outside of these videos, and I still haven't figured out what that is. I think in the next month or two, I'm going to do a live stream and take questions from the community, and I'm going to try to give you a heads up so that you guys can schedule it, because that's one of the only ways I can figure out to direct one-on-one connect with you outside of the comments of this YouTube channel, which don't feel that connected. I missed the ability in the Facebook group to see what people are talking about, and I'm still in the Tribe group, but this is different. So I'm trying to figure that out, and we're gonna learn it together. In the meantime, I'm really glad you're here. Cheers.